Moses was the first to teach us the importance of being thankful. In the final days of our wandering through the wilderness of Sinai, Moses is worried. He's worried that we will enter that promised land and we will forget all that God has done for us. He fears that we will work our land and harvest our crops, and we will think that it is because of our own work that we are so fortunate. And so in his final days, Moses has a last wish for the Israelites. 2 requests, really, recorded in Deuteronomy chapter 26. First, he wants the people to be generous. When you enter the land and harvest your crops, he tells them, take the first fruits of your harvest and bring them as an offering to the priest in the temple. You shall take a portion of the yield and leave it for the stranger, the orphan, and the widow. Then he makes a second request. And this one is very specific. When the people bring their first fruits to the priest, they must recite the story of the Exodus from Egypt. They must say out loud that the Lord saw our oppression and freed us from Egypt with awesome power and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. So why this speech? Why would Moses insist that the Israelites remember the Exodus when they bring the first fruits? What is the connection between the Exodus story and sharing our food? Here is a hint. 2 years ago, the economics department at Cornell University conducted a study. They offered subjects a cash prize if they were willing to answer 3 questions. They had hundreds of volunteers who were divided randomly into 2 groups. All participants received the same first question. Tell us something good that has happened to you recently. And the subjects reported scoring well on a test, landing a big account at work, and so forth. Now, the second question was different for each group. The first group was asked, what factors beyond your control helped make this possible? The subjects reported various external causes, such as luck, supportive spouses, good teachers, and so forth. The second group was given a different second question. They were asked, what is special about you? Or what did you do that made this good thing possible? These subjects naturally spoke about their own talents and hard work. And then finally, all of the subjects were asked the same third question. Would you like to donate some of your cash prize to any of these charities? Now remember, both groups were randomly selected. And the people in the first group gave to charity 25% more than the people in the second group. Needless to say, this study got a lot of attention. What it showed us is that if people are encouraged to be thankful, they are more likely to be generous. If you prod someone to think about their support network and the people who've helped them along the way, then they will be more likely to want to help others. And the inverse is true. If you prod someone to think about themselves, to reflect on their own merits, then they will become stingier and more selfish. One group was not inherently less generous than the other. They were randomly assigned. All it took was a little reminder of how lucky they were or how deserved they were to get them to be generous or miserly. This is the latest research, and yet somehow Moses knew it 3,000 years ago. Let's look again at the commandment of the first fruits. When we come with a basket of fruits, Moses insists that we tell the story of our people. The Lord saw our oppression and freed us from Egypt and gave us this land flowing with milk and honey. The story reminds us of how lucky we are. It reminds us of all the things that God has done for us. Moses knows. He read the study at Cornell. He knows that if you remind people about how fortunate they are, they're more likely to be generous. And he wants them to be generous. He wants them to give 1/10 of their crop to the poor, the orphan, and the stranger. And 10% a year is a big ask. The Israelites could have said no. They could have said, I don't want to give anything to anyone. I worked the land with my own hands. I plowed it, I sowed it, I harvested it, and I am going to keep it. So Moses has them tell the story. And then they realize they had some help along the way. God freed them and gave them the land and caused the rain to fall. By the end, they can't help but recognize that everything that they own is really a gift from God. Thankfulness leads to generosity. In our times, the great spokesman for this insight is the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett. Who is more generous than Warren Buffett? Warren Buffett has already donated $21 billion. Yes, $21 billion he has given away, and he has started a movement inspiring other billionaires to do the same. And this is a hard group to convince. Most business owners and CEOs feel they deserve everything they've received. They say, I'm smart. I worked hard. No one gave this to me. I earned it. Warren Buffett also feels that he is smart and that he has worked hard. But he also feels that he is lucky. He tells everyone that he is so lucky that he happened to be born white and male and in the United States and come of age in the middle of the 20th century, the exact location and moment of the greatest economic growth that the world has ever known. He asks, what would have happened if I was just as smart and just as hardworking, but happened to be born a female in a town in Bangladesh? He probably would have done all right. I mean, he is Warren Buffett. He probably would have worked hard, figured things out, and become the best off woman in that town. Warren Buffett feels that he is the luckiest man in the world. I don't think it's a coincidence that he's also the most generous man in the world. Let's get philosophical for a moment. What is gratitude in its essence? Is it an emotion? Something you feel one moment and not the next? Or is it an attitude, a way of thinking that you carry from day to day? Or possibly, is gratitude a trait? Is it something inherent in our character and deeply ingrained? The reason I ask is because we have to know if gratitude is something that we can change in ourselves. Look, some people are more grateful than others. We can observe this. The question is, do they have a choice? Are they just born that way? Tall, short, light, dark, grateful, ungrateful? Or is it possible for someone to choose their own destiny and determine their own character to be someone who is either grateful or ungrateful? Judaism takes a stand and says we can be more grateful, we should be more grateful, and we are going to work on becoming more grateful. Jewish tradition demands acts of gratitude. If you live a basic Jewish life, you cannot help but be more thankful. Every time we eat a meal, we are supposed to stop first and say, thank you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. It's not hard to say, though odd to say on Yom Kippur. It takes 6 seconds to say the motzi. I timed it. It takes 6 seconds to say the motzi. But what a worthwhile 6 seconds that is. Instead of just jumping into the meal, it's a moment to acknowledge the food we eat is a blessing. It's a gift, and we are grateful. On every happy occasion, at temple or in our home, we can say, Shehechianu. Let's say it together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu l'azman ha'aseh. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has granted us life and sustained us and enabled us to reach this season. This is our way to say thank you to God for every good thing in life, even for life itself. Some of our members come to services each week just to offer thanks. Our ancestors in the Bible brought sacrifices. We feel that same impulse, but we do it with words of thanks. And it feels right and good. It feels good to be thankful. When we stop to count our blessings, it tends to make us happy. And when we share that gratitude and say thank you to others, well, it makes them happy too. I want to thank each of you. Thank you for coming here today and giving us all a sense of community. Thank you for being a member of Temple and supporting me in my life's work. Thank you for your friendship and the kindness that you've shown my family. Thank you for making me proud with the good work that you do here and in the community. I'm so grateful to each of you, and it feels good to express it. Let's take a moment now to think about the people sitting next to you. There are nice people sitting next to you. How are you grateful to them? What have they done that might merit your thanks? Why don't we take a moment now and offer our thanks to the people sitting next to us? But it's nice, right? It feels good, right? Being thankful makes us happy. We know this intuitively. And now we have the science to back it up. In 2003, 2 professors of psychology conducted a series of studies about the effect of thankfulness. What these 2 professors discovered surprised the world and even the professors themselves. I know I'm talking a lot about studies today, but this is amazing. The researchers asked hundreds of subjects to keep a personal journal for 2 months. The subjects were divided into 2 groups randomly assigned. The first group was asked once a week at the end of each week to write down 5 things that they were thankful for in that week. The second group was asked to write down each week the 5 things that irritated them from the past week. So for 2 months, hundreds of people are writing down each week what they are thankful for, and hundreds of people are writing down each week what irritates them. Then, after 2 months, the researchers put the subjects through a whole battery of questions and tests. This is what they found. After 2 months, the people who wrote the thank you journal, the gratitude journal, were healthier than the ones who focused on their gripes. Healthier. By dozens of indicators that scientists use to measure basic health and well-being, the ones who counted their blessings were healthier. Those who kept the gratitude journal reported falling asleep easier, and they, by measurement, slept longer than those who focused on irritants. That sounds appealing. Those who kept the gratitude journal experienced less anxiety. They had fewer symptoms of depression. They reported greater satisfaction in life. Well, that makes sense. But ponder this. The ones who kept a gratitude journal exercised more than those who did not. Why? No one knows. In the last decade, dozens of researchers have performed this study in all sorts of populations and keep finding the same results. One group tried it on patients with muscular dystrophy undergoing physical rehabilitation. They tested them, and after 2 months, the ones who kept a gratitude journal could physically do more than those who did not. Couples therapists have tried this on their patients. People who keep a gratitude journal show much kinder behavior toward their romantic partners. And who doesn't want that? The results are stunning. Earlier, we established that thankfulness makes us more generous. And now, as it turns out, it also makes us healthier. And friends, let us not forget that this year is the year of healthful living. So it seems that if we want to be more generous and more healthy, maybe we should keep a gratitude journal. Why should the study subjects get all the happiness? We're going to do it. We are all going to do it. But where are we going to find a gratitude journal? How about right under our seats? Let's look under our seats. It says gratitude journal. Okay, now a quick disclaimer. We had ordered enough for everyone, and the order never came because of the hurricane wiped out the distribution center in Savannah and so forth. So there were a number of volunteers, and I want to thank my wife and Eden and Alan Zuckerman, and there are many others who went to 7 different Dollar Trees and put all of these on. We do have more if you want some. We have more, just come see me afterwards if there's not enough under your bench. So here's what we're going to do with them. We're going to take these home, and once a week, just once a week, at the end of each week, we're going to write down 5 things that we're thankful for. Try to come up with new things each week, but some repetition's okay. But just once a week for 2 months. I know it's hokey, but the science is there. I've never kept a journal before, but I'm eager to try. Let's see what it's like for 2 months. Because I'd like to be more thankful. I'd like to be more like Fred Germer. Fred Germer was a longtime member of our temple. He was, without doubt, the most appreciative man that any of us has ever known. Any little thing you did for Fred, and he would respond with gratitude. He would look you in the eye and give you an earnest thank you. And then he would send you a note. We all got notes from Fred. I would get them about once a month. They would come in the mail. They were always 1 sentence long. One time it said, "Thank you for saying hello to me at services, Fred Germer." Fred? He said the note because I said hello to him at services. All of us got these notes from Fred about all sorts of things that he appreciated. Most of the time, though, they simply said, "Thank you for being my friend, Fred Germer." As you can surely guess, we all loved Fred. And he brought out the best in each of us. And we loved him for that too. In his final months of life, he had grown diminished in both body and mind. He could not really carry on a conversation. In fact, he pretty much just said 3 words. The same 3 words over and over again, like a mantra. When you came to see him, he would say, "I appreciate you. I appreciate you." Whoever came to see him got the same message. I appreciate you. I realized then that he had achieved the highest plateau of gratitude. Thankfulness had become his very character. It was his core. All of us have a little bit of that in us. We have our moments when we see past all the frustrations in life and truly appreciate our blessings and appreciate the people in our lives. How can we take those fleeting moments and turn them into something more lasting? Can we say motzi before every meal? That might help. Can we keep a journal for 2 months? Probably. Can we take some time today to thank the people we appreciate in our lives? Yes, we can. The goal is not just to feel grateful. The goal is to be grateful. Because Moses was right. We're in the promised land. Friends, this will conclude our morning service. Please stay so that we can announce the upcoming programs and services for the rest of the day. Our Yom Kippur discussion today will be on the topic of thankfulness. Of course, we will cover some things brought up in the sermon, but other topics as well that I think you will find intriguing. The discussion will begin in about 10 minutes right here in the sanctuary. We simply ask that after you have a chance to kiss and hug everybody around you, that you come in closer, and we'll begin around 12:10 or 12:15. At 1:30 today is our children's service. At 3:15 begins the afternoon service. And then Yisker at 4:30, giving way to Ne'ilah and breaking the fast. I want to thank everyone who willingly went to park at the Federation parking lot, and for being a good sport. We can all park again across the street starting at 4 o'clock today. And finally, I want to say one more word of thanks. We have in our congregation so many doctors and nurses who spend all day at work taking care of others, and then you think they could come here to Temple and find a reprieve. But it seems that time and again, I have a chance to see some of our doctors and nurses tending to members of our temple. Today, it was Brad and Melissa Lerner, but for every day, I just wanted to say thank you to all those who never turn off their heart and their sense of duty and love for one another. One more message. If you are going, make sure you come back with food for our drive. Our discussion begins in 10 minutes.